Hello everyone and welcome to this Scrum Master exam practice video series. This video is video number 3 of the series. In this video, we'll have a look at 10 questions for the Scrum Master exam, and those questions will be multiple answers based, and there could be multiple right answers for the question. So this is very much a kind of question that you can get for the Professional Scrum Master 1 or PSM I exam. So let's get right into it. So the first question here, which of those is not part of Scrum? A, project manager, B, developer, C, product owner, D, manager, or E, Scrum Master. And now let's have a look at the answer. And the answers are A and D. So A and D relate to project manager and manager. So if you look at the Scrum Guide, you will definitely see the mention of developer and product owner and Scrum Master as accountabilities, but project manager and managers are actually not part of Scrum. Let's have a look at question number 2. How many roles do Scrum counts? A, there are no roles in Scrum. B, 2. C, 3. D, 4, or E, 5? And the answer is A. So what is A exactly? Let's have a look. There are no roles in Scrum. Okay, so that may surprise a lot of you, which probably found different, Scrum Master exam on the internet and say, okay, but we do have, 3 roles in Scrum, right? So those are the Scrum Master, the developer, and the product owner. Well, all of those things will be true until the last revision of the Scrum Guide of 2020. So Scrum Guide 2020, so in November 2020, there was a new version of the Scrum Guide. And if you have a look at the Scrum Guide, you will not find any mention of the word role. So the term role has actually been replaced by accountability. So here, this is a trick which probably you will not get in the exam, but just remember that actually Scrum now only recognize 3 accountabilities, and those accountabilities are product owner, Scrum Master, and developer. Okay, so this one was a tricky question. Let's have a look at question number 3. Which event is not part of Scrum? A, the sprint, B, the daily stand-up, C, the sprint planning, D, the system demo, or E, the sprint retrospective. And let's have a look at the answers. And those are B and D. So B and D. So B, the daily stand-up, and D, the system demo. So maybe some explanation here. So we have 5 events which are part of Scrum. So you have the sprint, which is a container event, then the sprint planning, which starts your sprint, the daily Scrum, and at the end of your sprint, you will have your sprint review, and finally, the sprint retrospective. Very often, the daily Scrum is referred as a daily stand-up, but actually, that's actually I will say, an incorrect term as per Scrum, because it's not necessarily a stand-up that we do during the daily Scrum. So the daily stand-up is therefore not part of Scrum. And we'll also often refer to the sprint review as a system demo. But actually, a sprint review is more than just a system demo. There's actually an event where you ensure that your stakeholders are joining it and delivering their feedback, and that you contribute, with them, you collaborate with them in deciding what to do for the next sprint. Therefore, the system demo is also an incorrect term, for the event, and is not part of Scrum. Again, part of Scrum, you have the sprint planning, the daily Scrum, the sprint review, and the sprint retrospective. Let's have a look at our next question. So which of those are Scrum values? A, courage, B, integrity, C, transparency, D, honesty, or E, focus? And those right answers are A and E. So A and E are courage and E, focus. So integrity is actually not part of the Scrum value. Transparency is actually one of the pillar, and honesty is also not part of the Scrum values. So for the Scrum values, to remember is courage, commitment, focus, openness, and respect. So those are the 5 Scrum values. Now let's have a look at our next question. Okay, so which of those is not an official Scrum artifact? A. Product goal. B. Product backlog. C. Definition of done. E. Sprint backlog. Or E. Increment. And now let's have a look at the answers, which are A and C. So A and C are product goal and definition of done. So let's remember, based on the Scrum guides, what are the official artifacts? So the official artifacts are 3, and there are 3 of them. Those are the sprint backlog, the product backlog, and the increment. So the product goal and definition of done are actually commitments which are associated with those artifacts. So, but the 3 official Scrum artifacts: sprint backlog, product backlog, and increment. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. What is the time box of the daily Scrum? A. There is no time box for the daily Scrum. B. 15 minutes. C. 50 minutes, but as long as the developers actually needs it. So it could go above 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And so 1, 2, and 3. Let's have a look at the answer, which is B. So B, time box for the daily Scrum is 15 minutes. So answer A, it's obviously incorrect. Incorrect. Actually, all the events in Scrum are actually time box. And for anything, it's 15 minutes or less for daily Scrum. So it could be, less in case, the daily Scrum is done in a fast and efficient manner, but it should normally not go above. That's really the principle of time boxing, 50 minutes and not more. Let's have a look at the next question. What are the Scrum commitments associated with its artifacts? We already talked about it in a previous question, but answer A, courage. B, product goal. C, commitment. D, definition of done. Or E, focus. Let's have a look at what the answers are, and the answers are B and D. So as you know, we have 3 official Scrum artifacts, therefore there should be 3 commitments associated to them. And those are the product goal for the product backlog. And product goal is a commitment associated with the product backlog. And D, definition of done. Definition of done is a commitment to the increment. We have another commitment which is here missing, and this is the sprint goal, which is associated with the sprint backlog. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. What is the length of the sprint retrospective for a 1-month sprint? A, 30 minutes. B, 45 minutes. C, 1 hour. D, 3 hours. Or E, 3/4 of the sprint review. So here there can be only one answer, and the answer is E. So okay, E here is 3/4 of the sprint review. So ideally, or normally, it's not an ideal case, but in general, people will say, okay, a 1-month sprint means 8 hours maximum of sprint planning, 15 minutes of daily Scrum, 4 hours of sprint review, and therefore, 3 hours of sprint retrospective. Actually, what the Scrum guys tell you is that the sprint retrospective should be 3/4 of the sprint review. Therefore, the answer E is actually the correct one. So that was a little bit tricky. Let's have a look at our next question. Which of those are Scrum pillars? A, visibility. B, transparency. C, inspection. D, adaptation. Or E, lean. And let's have a look at our answers, which are B, C, and D. So B, C, and D, those are inspection, adaptation, and transparency. And so those are, actually the 3 Scrum pillars. You might get a question, on one of your Scrum Master exam. be it PSM I, Registered Scrum Master, or Certified Scrum Master. Just one thing to know. Okay, let's have a look at the next question, which will be our latest one, or last one. On what is Scrum based on? A, Lean, B, Extreme Programming, C, Agile, D, Empiricism, or E, Six Sigma? And our answers are A and D. So this is straight out of the Scrum Guide, where it says that Scrum is based on Lean and Empiricism. Regarding extreme programming, so you can actually combine elements of extreme programming with Scrum, especially in the early days. I mean, a lot of software developers were actually doing, both, and it was working extremely well. Agile, actually, Scrum and extreme programming are parents of Agile. So the founders of Scrum and of extreme programming were part of the Agile Manifesto. So actually, they were founders of some of the founders or some of signatories of the Agile Manifesto. And yeah, Six Sigma, this is more, for a total quality management perspective. But this is not what Scrum is based on. Okay, so we have gone through all of those 10 questions on this Scrum Master exam practice video series. Thank you so much for having me, for having followed me till the end. And in any case, if you have any question, again, go to our website, valueinsight.ch. You can leave question on our forum or send us an email at info@valueinsight.ch. So thanks again for joining us, and talk to you soon.
Value Insights. Agile by vision, trainers by passion.